First contact. The quantum detection grid lit up like a Christmas tree at precisely 300 hours UTC. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display floating above her desk in the Lunar Deep Space Observatory, her hands frozen above the haptic interface. The signatures were massive. Hundreds of ships larger than anything humanity had ever built, materializing at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Director Chen, we're getting similar readings from all observation posts. Her assistant's voice crackled through the quantum comm. The Titan station confirms multiple mass shadows emerging from what appears to be artificial spacetime distortions. Sarah took a deep breath, her mind racing through the protocols she had hoped would never be needed. Initialize Silent Guardian. Authorization, Chen Alpha 79. The words felt heavy in her mouth, carrying the weight of 2 decades of preparation. The artificial intelligence governing Earth's hidden defensive network responded instantly. Silent Guardian protocol activated. Maintaining stealth coverage. All advanced technology installations switching to deep cover. Across the solar system, humanity's true technological capabilities disappeared behind carefully crafted veils of primitive technology. Quantum computing centers masked themselves as traditional server farms. Advanced weapon platforms disguised themselves as communication satellites. The facade that Earth had maintained for generations, that of a relatively primitive, divided world, solidified into place. The alien fleet moved with precision, their formation speaking of military discipline and technological sophistication. Their ships were beautiful in a terrifying way, all sweeping curves and iridescent hulls that seemed to drink in starlight. They called themselves the Arcturus Dominion, rulers of 1,000 worlds, and they came with an offer humanity couldn't refuse, or so they thought. People of Earth, the transmission began, broadcast simultaneously across every communication channel on the planet. The being on the screen was humanoid, but clearly alien, with crystalline patterns rippling across its silver skin. I am High Commander Vex Thor of the Arcturus Dominion. Your world has been chosen for integration into our empire. Resistance would be unfortunate. In the Lunar Observatory, Sarah watched the transmission with a grim smile. The Dominion scans would show them exactly what Earth wanted them to see: outdated satellite networks, primitive space stations, and a handful of fledgling colonies on Mars. They would see a world that had barely reached its own moon, still dependent on chemical rockets and nuclear fission. They wouldn't see the quantum shield grid that could stop their most powerful weapons. They wouldn't detect the phase-shifted fleet hidden in the dark side of Mars, or the antimatter production facilities buried deep beneath Europa's ice. Most importantly, they wouldn't realize that Earth's apparent political divisions were an elaborate charade, maintained specifically for moments like this. You have 48 hours to submit your response, Vex Thor continued. Choose wisely. In a hidden chamber beneath the Himalayas, the Earth Defense Council convened. Representatives from every nation. Real representatives, not the political figures that played their parts on the world stage, gathered to implement the plan they had refined over generations. Admiral James Chen, Sarah's father and the architect of humanity's hidden space force, addressed the council. The Dominion's fleet matches our projected scenarios for a Type IO civilization's first contact force. Their technology is impressive, but not beyond our capabilities to counter. More importantly, they'd fallen for our technological camouflage completely. The question now, Alina Rodriguez, head of Earth's Unified Intelligence Service, interjected, is how we want to play this. Do we maintain the deception until they commit to an attack, or do we show our hand early? The council chamber buzzed with quiet discussion. For decades, humanity had hidden its true advancement, knowing that first contact was inevitable. They had learned from their own history the dangers of technological disparity between civilizations, the importance of holding cards in reserve. We stick to the plan, Admiral Chen finally declared. Let them think they're dealing with a primitive species. Let them grow confident. When they make their move, we'll show them why humanity has survived every crisis it has ever faced. As the council deliberated, The Dominion fleet began deploying scout ships, their sensors probing Earth's defenses. They found exactly what humanity wanted them to find, and nothing more. Each scan that missed a hidden installation, each probe that failed to detect advanced technology, reinforced their fatal misconception. In her observatory, Sarah watched the alien ships with a mixture of scientific fascination and strategic calculation. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, unifying in secret while maintaining a carefully crafted image of division and technological backwardness. Now, that preparation would be put to the test. The countdown to humanity's response had begun. But the Arcturus Dominion was about to learn a harsh lesson. Appearances can be deceiving, and humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to surprise those who underestimated it. Hidden strength. 24 hours into the Dominion's ultimatum, their scout ships swarmed through the solar system like curious wasps, probing every satellite, scanning every installation. In the Titan observation post, Dr. Marcus Wong watched their systematic search with growing amusement. The aliens were thorough. He had to give them that. They were also completely oblivious. Another scout just scanned the experimental fusion facility in Australia. He reported to the Earth Defense Council. They spent 3 hours analyzing our carefully crafted heat signatures and radiation leaks. They're completely convinced it's a primitive attempt at fusion power. The facility in question actually housed a zero-point energy tap that powered half the southern hemisphere. But the Dominion sensors only detected what appeared to be an unstable fusion reactor struggling to maintain containment. Exactly what you'd expect from a civilization taking its first steps toward advanced energy production. In orbit, Commander Vexthor received the latest intelligence reports with growing confidence. His fleet's analysis painted a clear picture. Earth was precisely what it appeared to be. A young civilization barely able to reach its own satellite. Their most advanced weapons were crude nuclear devices. Their space presence consisted of fragile stations dependent on chemical rockets for resupply. Have the humans responded to our ultimatum? He asked his communications officer. They appear to be in disarray, came the reply. Their political bodies are arguing over how to respond. Several nations are threatening independent action. Their global communication networks are filled with panic and confusion. Vexthor smiled. It was exactly what he expected from a primitive species facing a superior force. The chaos and fear would make the conquest even easier. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Admiral Chen met with the Earth Defense Council's Strategic Command. The holographic displays showed every Dominion scout ship's position, their scan patterns, and most importantly, what they thought they had found. They've completed their preliminary survey, Elena Rodriguez reported. As expected, they've detected none of our quantum-shielded installations. Their confidence is growing by the hour. What about the Artemis Protocol? Asked General Zhang of the Unified Space Force. Are we ready to implement if necessary? Admiral Chen nodded gravely. All phase-shifted vessels are in position. The antimatter production facilities on Europa are running at full capacity. Most importantly, the quantum entanglement network remains completely undetected. We can coordinate a system-wide response instantly without relying on conventional communications. The Artemis Protocol was humanity's ultimate contingency plan. A coordinated strike capability that could hit every target in the solar system simultaneously. It had never been tested at full scale. But then again, humanity had never faced a threat like the Arcturus Dominion. In lunar orbit, Sarah Chen monitored the Dominion's fleet movements through quantum sensors that could pierce their most sophisticated stealth systems. The alien ships were impressive, but their technology was predictable, the product of a civilization that had grown comfortable in its superiority. They're positioning their heavy ships for a show of force, she reported to her father. Standard intimidation tactics. They'll probably destroy something dramatic, but ultimately insignificant, maybe one of our decoy defense satellites. Let them, Admiral Chen replied. Every action based on false intelligence brings them closer to their own undoing. The Dominion's confidence grew as their deadline approached. Their scans had revealed no hidden defenses, no secret weapons, nothing that could pose a threat to their mighty fleet. Earth's apparent disorganization and technological backwardness confirmed everything they had assumed about this primitive world. But beneath the surface, humanity's real preparations accelerated. Quantum computers processed combat simulations faster than the speed of thought. Advanced AI systems analyzed every scrap of data about Dominion technology, finding weaknesses the aliens didn't know they had. Phase-shifted ships moved silently into attack positions, invisible to conventional sensors. In the Himalayan Command Center, Elena Rodriguez received a priority alert. "Sir, we're detecting power spikes in several Dominion vessels. They're preparing for some kind of demonstration." Admiral Chen's expression remained calm. "Right on schedule. They'll want to show their power before the deadline expires. Let's see what they think will frighten us into submission." The Dominion's demonstration would come soon enough, but they remained unaware that their every move was being watched, analyzed, and countered by defenses they couldn't detect. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, and they had learned well the art of hiding their true strength until the perfect moment to strike. The countdown continued, but not toward humanity's surrender. Instead, it ticked toward a revelation that would shake the Arcturus Dominion to its core. The moment when they would learn that appearances can be deceiving, and that humanity's greatest weapon had always been its ability to surprise those who underestimated it. The deception breaks. Commander Vexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn, watching with satisfaction as his gunners targeted a small cluster of Earth's primitive satellites. The demonstration would be simple but effective. The destruction of their crude orbital infrastructure would show these humans the futility of resistance. "Energy weapons charged, Commander," his weapons officer reported. "Target locked. Fire." The Eternal Dawn's main cannon released a burst of plasma that could have vaporized a small moon. The energy beam streaked toward the defenseless satellites, a display of overwhelming force meant to break humanity's will to resist. It never reached its target. The beam simply vanished, absorbed by a shield that flickered into visibility for a fraction of a second before disappearing again. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, alarms began to sound as sensors detected energy signatures that hadn't been there moments before. In the lunar observatory, Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. They took the bait, initiating Phase 2 of Silent Guardian. Across the solar system, humanity's carefully maintained deception began to fall away. Quantum shields shimmered into existence around Earth, Mars, and key installations throughout the system. Hidden weapon platforms emerged from their dimensional pockets, their advanced targeting systems already locked onto every Dominion vessel. "Impossible," Vexthor whispered, watching as his sensors revealed layer after layer of technology that shouldn't have existed. The primitive satellites his ship had targeted were now showing energy signatures that rivaled his own fleet's power output. Admiral Chen's voice echoed through every communication system in the Dominion fleet, bypassing their most sophisticated encryption, as if it didn't exist. "Commander Vexthor, this is Admiral James Chen of the Earth Defense Force. I believe it's time we had an honest conversation about humanity's capabilities." In the Himalayan Command Center, Elena Rodriguez monitored the Dominion fleet's reactions through quantum sensors. "They're trying to bring their weapons online, but our quantum interference fields are keeping their targeting systems confused. They're practically blind. Show them why they should reconsider their position," Admiral Chen ordered. At the edge of the solar system, a small Earth vessel decloaked. It was a fraction of the size of the smallest Dominion ship, but the energy readings it produced caused every alien sensor to scream in alarm. With surgical precision, it fired a single quantum lance beam at an uninhabited asteroid. The asteroid didn't explode. Instead, it simply ceased to exist, its matter converted cleanly and efficiently into energy that was immediately contained and harvested by Earth's hidden collection grid. The demonstration was clear. Humanity could have done the same to any ship in the Dominion fleet. By now, Admiral Chen continued, his voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. Your sensors are telling you things that contradict everything you thought you knew about Earth. Let me be clear. What you're seeing is only a fraction of our true capabilities. On the Eternal Dawn's bridge, Vexthor watched in growing horror as more Earth ships emerged from concealment. Their designs were unlike anything in the Dominion's experience. Clean, efficient shapes that seemed to bend space around them. Your scans showed you what we wanted you to see, Chen explained. The political divisions, the primitive technology, the apparent weakness, all of it was a carefully crafted deception. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong is far more advantageous than the reverse. In orbit around Mars, the phase-shifted fleet revealed itself. Hundreds of advanced warships that had been there all along, invisible to conventional sensors. Their weapons remained powered down, but their message was clear. Earth could have struck at any time. This is not a negotiation, Chen continued. This is not a threat. This is simply information you need to make an informed decision. You have 1 hour to withdraw your fleet beyond the orbit of Pluto. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war. The Dominion fleet's formation began to break as individual captains processed the implications of what they were seeing. Their scans were revealing new Earth weapons and defenses by the second, each more advanced than the last. How? Vexthor finally managed to ask. How did you hide all of this? Sarah Chen's voice joined her father's on the channel. We've had a lot of practice hiding things, Commander. Humanity spent centuries fighting itself, developing ways to conceal our capabilities from each other. When we unified, we simply turned those skills outward. Every piece of primitive technology you saw was carefully designed to hide something far more advanced beneath it. In the depths of Europa, antimatter reactors powered up, their energy signatures now clearly visible to the Dominion sensors. Quantum computing centers throughout the solar system revealed themselves, their processing power dwarfing anything the aliens had encountered before. The message was clear. Earth wasn't just ready for a fight. They had been prepared for generations. The countdown began, marking the minutes until humanity's patience would run out. The Arcturus Dominion faced a choice they had never encountered before: retreat, or face a civilization that had turned deception and preparation into an art form. Imperial pride. Captain Nexus of the Dominion warship Relentless stood on his bridge, watching the countdown tick away with growing rage. 3 decades of military service, 17 planetary conquests, and now he was being ordered to retreat from a world that had only recently mastered basic spaceflight, or so he had thought. Sir, his second-in-command ventured carefully. The High Command has ordered all ships to begin withdrawal procedures. Nexus's crystalline skin flickered with patterns of deep red, a sign of barely contained fury in his species. They tricked us. They made us look like fools. And now we're supposed to just leave. In the lunar observatory, Sarah Chen's quantum sensors detected the power spike before the Relentless's weapons even finished charging. We have an outlier, she reported calmly. Dominion warship, Theta-class destroyer, powering up main weapons array. Admiral Chen's response was immediate. Initiate containment protocol. Non-lethal response only. Let's show them how we handle single ships. The Relentless's first shot never reached its target. A dozen hidden defense platforms simultaneously projected a quantum interference field, causing the energy beam to dissipate harmlessly into subspace. Before Nexus could process what had happened, his ship's sensors detected multiple incoming signals. Evasive action. He ordered, but it was too late. A series of precise energy pulses from Earth's defense grid struck the Relentless. They weren't meant to destroy. Instead, they systematically disabled every major system on the ship with surgical precision. Weapons, engines, shields, and communications went dark in seconds. Containment successful, Alina Rodriguez reported from the Himalayan Command Center. Target vessel is disabled but structurally intact. Life support systems remain functional. Commander Vexthor watched the incident unfold with a mixture of horror and fascination. The Earth forces had neutralized one of his best ships without destroying it or harming its crew. A display of technical precision that spoke volumes about their true capabilities. Captain Nexus, Sarah Chen's voice came through on the Relentless's emergency channels. The only systems still functioning. Your ship is currently held in a quantum stasis field. We've taken the liberty of shutting down your primary systems to prevent any further misunderstandings. Your crew is unharmed, and life support remains operational. Please stand by for recovery operations. In the Dominion fleet, the incident sparked a flurry of activity. Sensors that had been recalibrated after Earth's revelation were providing detailed analysis of what had just happened. The technical data only confirmed their worst fears. Earth's weapons and defensive systems operated on principles the Dominion barely understood. Admiral, Elena reported, we're detecting power spikes from several other Dominion vessels. It seems Captain Nexus's actions may have inspired some of his colleagues. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. Deploy the Aegis Protocol. Let's make sure everyone understands that Nexus's experience wasn't a fluke. Across the solar system, Earth's defense grid hummed to life. Quantum fields expanded outward, creating a visible network of energy patterns that connected every planet, moon, and station. The message was clear. Every cubic meter of space was covered by overlapping fields of fire. To all Dominion vessels, Chen broadcast, what you're seeing is our automated defense network. It can target and neutralize any ship in the system within 0.3 seconds of detecting hostile action. Captain Nexus just provided a small demonstration of its capabilities. We would prefer not to provide more examples. On the Eternal Dawn, Vexthor received urgent communications from his fleet captains. The technical analysis of the Relentless incident was spreading through the fleet, and the implications were staggering. Earth hadn't just disabled the ship. They had done it in a way that demonstrated complete mastery over energy and matter at the quantum level. Sir, his science officer reported, their defense grid, it's not just weapons. The energy patterns suggest they can literally rewrite the laws of physics within their fields of influence. The technology required for such manipulation is beyond anything in our records. In the disabled Relentless, Captain Nexus watched helplessly as small Earth vessels approached his ship. Their design was elegant but alien, smooth surfaces that seemed to bend light around them, defying visual tracking. His sensors, limited to basic functionality, could barely register their presence. This is Earth Recovery Team Alpha, a calm voice announced. We'll be establishing a quantum tunnel to safely transport your crew to a secure facility. Please remain calm and cooperate with recovery personnel. Your safety is assured. Throughout the solar system, other Dominion ships that had shown signs of aggression found themselves similarly contained by Earth's defense grid. No shots were fired, no lives were lost. Just precise, overwhelming demonstrations of technological superiority. Admiral Chen watched the tactical displays with satisfaction. The message was being received clearly. Earth wasn't just capable of defending itself. It could do so without resorting to destruction. Sometimes, he mused, the most effective demonstration of power was showing how much you could avoid using it. The countdown continued its inexorable march toward zero. But now, the Dominion fleet's withdrawal was happening in earnest. They had come expecting to find an easy conquest. Instead, they had found something far more dangerous, a civilization that had mastered the art of appearing weak while holding overwhelming power in reserve. New Dawn. 1 month after the Dominion fleet's withdrawal, the Earth Defense Council convened in their Himalayan chamber to address a new challenge: humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. The quantum displays showed dozens of diplomatic transmissions arriving from various alien civilizations, all seeking to establish relations with the species that had humbled the mighty Arcturus Dominion. The game has changed, Elena Rodriguez observed, studying the incoming diplomatic requests. Our defensive capabilities are no longer a secret. Every spacefaring race within 1,000 light-years knows what happened here. Admiral Chen nodded, his weathered face reflecting both satisfaction and concern. We knew this day would come. The question now is how we proceed. We've spent generations hiding our true nature. Perhaps it's time to show the galaxy who we really are. In lunar orbit, Sarah Chen's observatory had been transformed into a diplomatic reception center. The first alien ambassadors would arrive within days, and humanity had decided to maintain its policy of controlled revelation. The facility appeared deceptively simple on the surface, but beneath the modest exterior lay some of humanity's most advanced technology. The Proxima Confederation is particularly eager to establish relations, Sarah reported during the council session. Their ambassadors have already transmitted a fascinating proposal for technological exchange. And the Dominion? Admiral Chen asked. Still processing their experience, Alina replied with a slight smile. Our analysis of their communications suggests their entire social structure is undergoing significant upheaval. It seems being comprehensively outmaneuvered by a primitive species has sparked some intense cultural self-reflection. In orbit around Mars, the previously hidden shipyards had begun their work in earnest. Now that secrecy was no longer paramount, humanity could finally build openly, incorporating generations of technological advancement into a new fleet of exploration vessels. Commander Vex Thor, now serving as the Dominion's primary diplomatic contact with Earth, stood in the lunar facility's observation dome, watching these construction efforts with a mixture of awe and lingering disbelief. Your deception was comprehensive, he admitted to Sarah Chen. Every detail was crafted to reinforce our misconceptions. We had good teachers, Sarah replied. Humanity spent centuries fighting itself, learning to hide our capabilities from each other. When we finally unified, we turned those skills outward. Every primitive satellite concealed a quantum sensor array. Every outdated space station housed technology you couldn't detect. We learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong is far more advantageous than the reverse. In the weeks following the Dominion's retreat, Earth had begun sharing carefully selected aspects of its technology with other civilizations. The quantum shields that had protected Earth now formed the basis for new defensive treaties. The phase shift technology that had hidden humanity's true fleet became the foundation for joint exploration initiatives. We're receiving reports from the Centauri sector, Alina announced during a council update. 3 other civilizations have already adopted our quantum shield designs. The balance of power in the galaxy is shifting. Admiral Chen studied the tactical displays showing the movement of ships throughout nearby space. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around the revelation of Earth's true capabilities. Perhaps that's not a bad thing, he mused. We've shown that technological advancement doesn't have to come at the cost of wisdom. In the Himalayan Command Center, a new generation of officers trained on systems that no longer needed to be hidden. The carefully maintained facade of division and technological backwardness had served its purpose. Now humanity could step forward into a new role, not as conquerors or victims, but as guardians of a more stable galactic order. Sarah Chen stood with her father in the lunar observatory, watching the first diplomatic vessels approach from distant stars. Do you think they'll ever fully understand, she asked, why we hid ourselves for so long? Admiral Chen considered the question. Some will. The wise ones will recognize that our deception wasn't about fear or aggression. It was about survival. Humanity learned through bitter experience that appearing too strong invites challenge, while appearing too weak invites conquest. We chose a third path. The Earth Defense Council had already begun implementing the next phase of humanity's emergence. The Silent Guardian Protocol, which had protected Earth for so long, was being adapted into a broader defensive framework that could shield younger civilizations from conquest or exploitation. We're receiving a priority transmission from the Arcturus Dominion Central Council, Alina reported during the final session of the month. They're proposing a comprehensive peace treaty. More significantly, they're requesting our assistance in reforming their approach to first contact with emerging civilizations. Admiral Chen allowed himself a small smile. It seems they learned something valuable from their experience with us. Sometimes the best teacher is failure. As Earth prepared to take its place openly among the stars, humanity carried forward the lessons learned from generations of hiding in plain sight. They had proved that true strength lay not in overwhelming force, but in the wisdom to know when and how to use it. The quantum defense grid remained active, its invisible field still protecting the solar system. But now it stood as a symbol not of secrecy, but of humanity's commitment to maintaining peace in their corner of the galaxy. The age of hiding was over. The age of guardianship had begun. In the depths of space, Earth's new ships set out on their first official missions of exploration. Their hulls no longer needed to disguise their true nature, their technology no longer hidden behind carefully crafted facades. They carried with them humanity's greatest lessons, that strength comes in many forms, that wisdom often lies in restraint, and that the greatest power is not in the weapons you wield, but in knowing when not to use them.